Good afternoon and welcome back. And we are glad to tell you that we are all back. The team is back together and we are back together recording and we have a lot to tell. Yeah, and we have a lot to tell you. So let's get Randy to do the station identification.
All right.
And then we go into the meat of the matter.
Yeah. You're listening to OrionTalkRadio.com and Micro1650.com out of Tonawanda, New York. Thanks, Jimmy, for not ditching our show. We've had a lot of repeats here lately because things have just been crazy. You may be hearing us on Spreaker.com, on TalkSuperstation.com, Shoutcast.com, maybe even the TuneIn app on your phone. And with us, as before, is Barbara Hartwell today. Barbara's she's back. Barbara's back.
Well, I'm back, but I'm a refugee in a safe house, and Dr. Carpenter's going to say a little about that in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, and then we go into real detail. Okay, are we?
Yeah,
did we forget anybody?
No, take it. No. Barbara Hartwell versus CIA.blogspot.com. Barbara Hartwell vs CIA.blogspot.com. That's Barbara's website.
And we are, as usual, by the way, you know that there is another website that says The Medical Conspiracy, and it's not us at all, and I don't know what the heck they're doing, okay?
Oh, yeah, it's themedicalconspiracy.com or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Right.
Instead of Medical Conspiracy. I don't know who they are, what they're doing, and what's the point there, but anyway.
I know on YouTube, a few years ago, I ran across some videos, and it was some guy kind of done up like a cowboy. Like he likes wearing, Stetson hats and
I think
the whole cowboy getup and the long mustache, and he's up there talking about natural cures, vitamins, nutrition, all this stuff, and there's a lot of anti-drug, anti-pharmaceutical stuff in it too. But I really don't know, if he was already around. But I don't know who came first. You didn't knowingly steal the name of his. Whatever. And I don't know if the reverse is true or not. I don't know.
Yeah, but the Medical Conspiracy is not him. It's something else, and I'm not really sure. And there is some mention of us, but I don't know what it is, what they are. But I know I ended up in that one because I forgot that we don't have the in front of it. We just have Medical.
Is that what the web address is? TheMedicalConspiracy.com.
Yeah.
Well, let me think. It's been a long time. Let me just look up and see what it looks like.
Yeah, something weird. And I meant to talk to you about it a few times, and then I kept forgetting.
Did not find result.
Really? Mine, last time I saw it was not that long ago. That was coming up. And it's not coming up now. Okay, that's good. Okay. Anyway, what I wanted to say is we have had several. Actually, in the last month, we only had one
live show. Yeah, or semi-live show. It was just the two of us. Because Barbara kind of fell off the map for a while, and Barbara's going to get into that. She's been through the 7-layer burritos of hell.
And now she's on Mars also, but unfortunately she's a different section of Mars, so we cannot really get together.
That's right.
But so also other things were happening to me, so we couldn't really have a live show, and most of them have been repeats. And I am glad that now we're back into the show, no new episode. We actually have Barbara back, so that's great. I mean, it didn't really feel right not having the full team, so we're glad.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. I was sorry too, and I've had no internet access up until yesterday. I think I finally got it back in the safe house where I am. So,
finally,
the Martian safe house. And what I wanted to explain, I wanted Barbara to explain what she has been going through even to get to the safe house.
Oh, yeah.
All the problem, but even getting to the safe house. And I want her to talk to you about it. But before we get to that, I want to point out something. This is pretty close to what has happened to me last year. And if I got back to see my family, it probably would happen again. And I want to point out, this is what happens to freedom fighters. It's not just South America. That's or in the old Bolshevik Russia. This is happening in the U.S. and it's still the same treatment to people that are fighting for freedom. This is the reality, even in United States, and it is disgusting. And
it is, Dr. Carpenter. And from the first time I ever came up on your show as a guest, and I started to become a regular guest before I was a co-host, we talked about this. And I talked about the COINTELPRO and everything that was going on, and I outlined what happens to a dissident, a whistleblower, a freedom fighter, a person who stands up against the corruption and the lies, okay? And as it happened in your case, it happened to you, and I was so sorry to see it, though I predicted it. It happened to you in exactly the pattern, where you end up losing everything you own, okay? And it happened to you. And lots of horrible things have happened to me, but recently it's the worst it's ever been. I pretty much lost everything. I lost my home again for the second time in 3 years, okay? I lost all my furniture, except for a couple of pieces. I lost most of my possessions, which I was forced to sell whatever I could. I gave the rest to the Salvation Army or to the priest from my church. I gave away whatever I could. I could take very little with me. I escaped with my life, basically, and I'm now at a safe house, okay, temporarily. I have shelter. I have sanctuary. Thank God. I have that. But they have done this, Dr. Carpenter, just like they did it to you. And it's absolutely outrageous and despicable. People see what's happening. You try to tell somebody, look, this is happening to me. And how much help ever comes? Nothing. Almost nothing.
Yeah. That's just, unless it's some people that pretty much are going through the same thing and they try to help one another. And it's just revolting that is happening what is supposed to be a civilized country.
Well, it is. And as I told Randy, this little anecdote that I told Randy, that, I had a friend that came to basically get me, okay? And I took whatever I could, remove from where I was living, whatever I could fit.
Yeah.
And as we were leaving town, I had stopped at a supermarket to pick up some medication that I needed. And I went into the supermarket, and my friends were outside. And as I was in the supermarket, they waited till I was in the supermarket, and a car came around the block, cruising slowly twice. There were two vehicles. It was one vehicle that came. There were two vehicles. One was my car, which somebody else was driving because I can't drive on highways. And the other was the little van to move whatever I could take. And the vehicle cruised by slowly around twice. And the license plate said...
That's unreal.
So they were there. See, I mean, it's not unusual, and not in my life, but it's horrible to know that no matter how bad things are, and you're just like, you're going through a living hell. I was like in a state of complete nervous exhaustion. I had no help at all to pack all my stuff and get stuff out. I only had help to just remove what I could, okay, and get to this place where I am, the safe house. And to know that these bastards are lurking.
And was it a real plate, or was it just a decorative plate?
A real plate. A real plate.
Can you say what state it was?
It was, I think it was the state of Maine, where I came from.
Huh.
I'm not in Maine anymore. I'm on Mars, like Dr. Carpenter. I'm in another place.
That's just crazy, though. I mean, that's like just jokingly flaunting it. In other words, it's like you see a black van outside your house or something, and you look out the window and there's a big NSA written on the side of it. That will never happen.
Throwing it in your face, Randy. You see, for many years, they had what I would call street theater. Okay, street theater. They're flaunting it. They're throwing it in your face. They want you to know, here we star, and we're watching your every move, and we're going to do everything in our power to destroy you. That happened to me for many years. But interestingly enough, and this is the sad part for me, well, they stopped the obvious stuff quite a long time ago in cases where I was able to be in a place where I was able to stay there, okay? To stay there. When I had my own home, which of course they made sure to steal that from me, okay? And that was in 2010. It was everything I had. I invested everything I had in this home, and they stole it for taxes, okay? Taxes.
Any excuse.
Any excuse. And it wasn't even, it's too much of a long story. I'm not going into the details. All I can tell you is whatever you have, if you're a target of these bastards, whatever you have, just like you, Dr. Carpenter, whatever you have, they will do everything in their power to take it from you so that you will be neutralized, so you won't be able to continue to speak out and do the right thing and fight against the corruption. And I am absolutely heartbroken. I'm disgusted, but at least I'm still here. I'm still here for the time being, so we can just go on with the show, I guess.
And I guess that's what must be, because why do this to you again now? What I don't understand is what's the importance of this particular time to do that to Barbara? Of course, something was tried with me again because I was hoping to be able to go see my family for the holidays, and it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Dr. Carpenter? It's been built. This thing has been building up for a long time, and in my case, a lot of it just has to do with money that I don't. As long as I had something, for a while I had something, okay. But once I didn't have anything, they moved in to make sure that I couldn't keep anything that I had. Okay, so it's been building up. I've been trying to stave it off, and I finally couldn't. And it was
okay. But what's the point of doing this at this place and time? Doesn't make any sense. What is it that you're doing that is still dangerous to them?
The same things I've always been doing, and that doesn't usually change. And I'm certainly now on this show, which is an added thing, but they'll just keep at it, Dr. Carpenter, for as long as.
Why? So is this show that dangerous to them?
I'm sure it is, and not. That's a separate issue in terms of that you are their target also. The two of us together are a worse problem for them, no doubt in my mind, because they don't want anybody to have support.
Yeah, but is anybody really listening to us? I'm really not convinced.
I believe they are, Dr. Carpenter.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you ever doubted whether the medical pharmaceutical complex is a powerful force to be reckoned with in this country, just turn your TV on Fox News. I don't care what time of day. You sit down in front of it for an hour. All you're going to hear is Obamacare, 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 because the biggest money powers in this country, that's all they can think about.
Well, you know what, Randy, you're right, because, I didn't have TV where I was, okay? In the safe house, there is TV, and so I have had a few occasions when I would just, be there looking at it, and I'd see the same thing repeated over and over and over again. But in relation to Dr. Carpenter's question, if anybody's listening, obviously they consider Dr. Carpenter to be a threat, because why else would they have done all the horrible things? The raid, the FDA raid, the grand jury investigation. They don't do that to a non-threatening person, meaning that you're not doing anything to be a threat.
Well, that because of the treatment I was offering, they had to put a stop to it. And if you know...
Exactly, because it was the truth. Because it supported the truth and supported saving lives with no harm done and saving people vast sums of money that the medical is raking.
But I can see, okay, they did that to put me in a position where I cannot do anything, okay?
That's right.
But now the only thing that is left is the radio show. And in fact, they must feel pretty good about what they did, because before the raid, every single week on the web or everywhere, you heard about it, the progress they were making, how great they were, how much advances in breast cancer or any other type of cancer, how great they were. Now there has been total silence. All you hear is Obamacare, but you don't hear how great they are in their research. So why? Because they think that they have totally eliminated the...
they think they've neutralized the threat of a person
Right.
has a real solution that does no harm, that saves lives and costs a fraction, a mere fraction of what they're raking in to destroy people's lives. And believe
Okay,
me,
but then why do this and why try to wipe out the show, put you possibly in a position that you cannot do the show and all of this? Why?
because they're still threatened by us, Dr. Carpenter. Obviously, they just would like to close us down totally, and they've almost succeeded. I mean, and
Yeah,
Well,
nobody
I don't know
goes.
how many listeners we got. I'm not gonna. It's impossible to guess, but I do remember this though. There was somebody that put a message up on our chat board last week. I think, what happened to the show. Won't even get into that. But if you were listening this time last week, I guess we had a little communication breakdown. I didn't even. Oh golly, it was unreal.
but did
I'm so
you have
tired from my
last
job
week?
and what now?
Was there a show last week?
I don't know. If there was, it was a repeat. I didn't make contact. Like I dropped the ball. Basically, I was supposed to contact Jimmy and let him know something, and after a couple of days afterward, I got to thinking, oh my God, I didn't contact him. He didn't know what to put on.
Well, Randy, let me say this though. This is really
So we
important.
may have had some dead air situation going.
That the whole situation, once these bastards from the FDA, Jeremy Bain and his henchmen, once they came down on Dr. Carpenter and did the raid and stole everything she had, just remember that not only did she lose her livelihood, everything she had, her office, everything.
Both vehicles.
And both vehicles, her home, just like I
Unreal.
was home. Okay, but you lost your job, Randy, and so did Wendy. So then you were forced out of to survive. You were forced to go out and get outside jobs. So now you're forced to handle some kind of stressful schedule.
Oh my God!
Plus now the show.
I haven't been. Not since I was a plebe at the Naval Academy have I had anything this stressful to deal with. It's unbelievable. It's just unreal.
And before that, think about it. They've destroyed not just Dr. Carpenter's life and her livelihood, but this is what they will do to every person they can reach that surrounds that target, because they want to rip away the support. They want to rip away anything that could help her get back on her feet and do what she was here on this planet meant to do by the grace of God, to help people and save lives. That's how demonic these people are.
Yes, but one thing though, I don't want to sound optimistic, but one thing that all of these evil creatures are forgetting is that if somebody's doing something good for humanity out of just feeling the responsibility of helping people when they can, if that happens, somebody up there is protecting them. So
That's right. I've always been protected, Dr. Carpenter, no matter how bad it's ever been, and it's been really, really bad. Okay, but God watches over me, and I'm aware of that. So the evildoers can only go so far. They can't control the universe, right? They can do a lot of harm, but they can't control.
they do a lot of harm and they produce a lot of pain, and that is absolutely unnecessary, uncalled
Right.
for. But in the end, evil creature. You remember that song of the Pretenders? They'll die in ruin someday.
Yes.
So, it will happen, but that's not the issue. The issue is that somebody that is doing something good will, in the end, be protected. They still go through a lot of suffering, but will be protected. And they forget that, okay? And I'm hoping that the truth will eventually rise and be known, because people need to know what they are being subject. They are being
Well,
subject.
they do, Dr. Carpenter, and And I also hope, as I always hope, I always put out a plea for support for us. If you are listening to this program and you support what Dr. Carpenter is doing and has done, and if you support what I've done and you support the truth, and you want to be a person who does the right thing and stands up, then I'll make a plea. Please support us in any way that you can, whether it's to promote this radio show or promote my website, which is Barbara Hartwell versus CIA, or send donations, whatever you can possibly do, because we're barely hanging on here. I mean, it's just people don't understand how brutal it is when you're faced with this kind of persecution.
It's just horrible. It's like you don't have a normal life anymore. As I said, I cannot, and I was planning to go see my family, but when I realized what Barracuda was doing, the usual, and a couple of other things that have happened that have made me suspicious, then I said, forget it. I'm not going to go back. I'll stay on Mars. I'm not going to go back to the Cove of Lions. So, it's making my life bad. Because it's forcing me. It's not like your case that you cannot go and see your family because of the way your son is. In my case, that's not it, but I still can't go. So
you got about 20 seconds.
So it's still the same effect. They are being successful. It's just like the song of Abba Fernando said, they won. And we never thought we could lose, but the bad guys seem to have won. And okay, we got a break coming up, and we'll continue after.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
The easiest way to get away with any large government crime is to simply cry conspiracy theory, and it's a magic phrase, reserved and used exclusively by government. But just for the record, any crime of 2 or more persons is, by definition, a conspiracy. Our Justice Department knows that, and that means our government knows it as well. Yet when anyone points a finger at them, they yell the magic phrase every time, conspiracy theory. But history knows the sins of Washington all too well. Operation Ajax, MK Ultra, Operation Northwoods, the Iraq 9/11 war lie. Does that really sound trustworthy to you? Next time you hear our government cry conspiracy theory, don't enable the crime by looking away. That's exactly what they want you to do. So take a closer look and think for yourself. Instead of letting the corporate media do it for you, you may just find out that conspiracy theory is indeed conspiracy fact. Orion News Talk, news and views beyond the mainstream media.
Okay, we're back from the break, and what we were discussing before the break, of course, is the latest experience of Barbara. She has always had problems, but why stepping it up now? That's my question. Weird. And when she said a car following and checking basically on what they were doing, I thought about what happened the summer of 2012. What was it?
Yeah, we were unloading some stuff. I mean, it was not too long after the what?
It was grocery.
Well, it was. I didn't think it was that long after the raid, actually. And
no,
we were
it wasn't.
Some stuff.
1 or 2 months, I don't remember. It was just.
Either way, it was weird and creepy. There was just this car, like barely moving, like not even a mile an hour,
Oh, that's how they operate, Randy.
Through the neighborhood.
Really?
Cruising really slowly. Let you know here we are, right?
Mm-hmm. And then pulled over and parked right like catty-cornered across the street from us.
Yeah.
But obviously not in the yard of the person that they were closest to either.
Mm-hmm.
Of
course.
Well, but then he turned around in the cul-de-sac and then he started rolling over. And remember that it looked like he was parking, stopping the car on the next door neighbor. And then it was slowly, like he was looking, I don't know what. We finally both got fed up and started walking toward the car. And the car just picked up and left.
Well, that's what they do, Dr. Carpenter. You see, there's an element of this, I think that I've spoken about this before. It's almost like a street theater. They want you to know that they are there. Believe me, if it was a real covert operation And
I wouldn't know that they are there.
they wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I would because of my training, but you probably would not. And the whole thing is this: that look, these people are trained to do covert surveillance. If they don't want you to know they're there, most likely you're not going to know they're there. But if they're doing that kind of thing where they're moving slowly and like parking, like just at the edge of a property, or just look, they're there to try to intimidate you, to let you know, here we are watching your every move, and that's how they operate. I've heard the same story and experienced it over and over and over again.
And it's not intended to spy on you, just to intimidate you,
To
right?
intimidate you, of course, because they don't need that kind of thing to spy. They have all kinds of technology. You wouldn't even know they were there.
Well, they won't need it to flatten your tires either, but they did it.
Of course, they flattened your tires. That was a crime. That was a criminal action, actually, because that's a vandalism. That's a crime.
Okay, but what was the point? Yeah, so we couldn't
Stop
leave.
you from leaving. They'll do anything to achieve their objective. In that case, they wanted to make sure you didn't leave the house, right?
Yeah, they didn't leave before they served that stupid paper.
It's still a crime, though.
Yeah.
And let's face it, these people are criminals.
They are. That's the thing. They are trained as spy, and the espionage thing is done for foreigner, not your own citizen. But they're spying. Instead of spying on the enemy, they spy on the people in the country, the ones that are trying to do good.
Well, that's right. And we remember
Indeed.
Jeremy Bain, the head honcho of this operation, that he was a former some kind of spy or secret agent.
Yeah, spy training.
NSA or CIA or whatever the hell it was. But that was his background. So he's a spy.
Yeah, and the others were idiots, young idiots. I don't know what training they had, if any. Certainly not scientific training. I mean, it had been a ridiculous experience. But what gets me is, why now? Why continue? Why doing it to you? Doing it to you, in my opinion, was to affect your ability to be on the show.
Well, that's a part of it, Dr. Carpenter. Believe me, it never stopped. Believe me, it has never stopped in all these many years. And the only thing that ever protected me, aside from God, was at the times when I had enough money to pay the bills or something, then they couldn't really do too much. But the minute that was taken from me, and it was, they can close in, because then I literally have no means to survive. Okay? And because of the campaigns on the internet, you know about that, all those idiots out there putting out outrageous lies about you, about me, and
The various Pinocchio.
yeah,
right?
Pinocchio type people.
Where tipo Pinocchio. Yeah.
Michelle Wolven, Timothy Patrick White, and on it goes.
Well, there are still Pinocchio, because Pinocchio means he's a liar and the nose keeps going.
Well, that's right, exactly. But the point is, I don't get the donations like I used to because of the fact of these liars that are all over the internet. And so it's literally, I have barely survived, even before I had to leave, because I was forced to leave my home again for the second time in 3 years. Okay, even then, I couldn't get food. I had to go to the Salvation Army or Christian food charities just to get food. That was how bad it was for me, because I was by myself, all right, and I had no income, I had nothing coming in, and it finally ended up where I knew it would, that again, I'm not homeless, meaning that I'm not in the street, but I don't have a home anymore, just like you don't, Dr. Carpenter.
Right. Same thing. And they seem to be doing that. It still hasn't stopped us having the show, but I guess that's what they're trying to do, put an end to it. I don't know.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I have an internet connection, I haven't had one for well over a month, for like 6 weeks. As long as I have an internet connection and I'm breathing, I'll continue to do the show. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't understand, because obviously Yeah, we are presenting the facts to people, all the things that are going on, all the dishonesty of FDA, which, by the way, keeps going on, and we'll discuss it some more later. Some new things coming up, typical bias, totally biased for the drug companies and helping drug companies as much as possible. And now, even though wasn't meant to be that way, Obamacare, what they call Obamacare, or the Affordable Act.
What a joke, affordable.
I know, affordable. That costs 3 times as much as what people were paying already.
And the damn website still doesn't seem to work. They spent billions. I have no doubt they spent billions of. I have no doubt that they've spent billions of dollars just on the TV coverage of idiot talking heads arguing about why the website doesn't work and whether it's good, whether it's bad. It's obscene, and it's just so stupid. All that money, and still all you got is nothing. Nothing.
And then if you get something and you get through, then you end up paying through the nose for something that is less than what you had already. I mean, the whole thing is such a crooked mess.
Mr. Carpenter, that they don't cover, for a person like me, I would never sign up for it anyway, but for a person like me, I don't use regular standard medical care. I never have for many years, unless it's an extreme emergency, Okay, I don't. So I use naturopathic care, homeopathic, or Chinese medicine, whatever. Okay, chiropractic, whatever I can get, if I can get it, when I can pay for it. Guess what? These bastards won't even acknowledge those forms of care. Any alternative.
I know that. I've done.
That's right. But that's the whole point, is that they're trying to drive people like you who had something to offer that was a real solution that did no harm, that helped people and saved people's lives. That's why I support you, Dr. Carpenter, because I know what you do, okay? And I've seen it in my own life. Both my parents died.
What I can do. Of course I'm not doing.
They've stopped you. That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the sad thing is that they were successful. And you know what? I don't even have any traffic to the Les Medinc website. We do have it to the Medical Conspiracy, but not Les Medinc. And I'm saying, please, this is not going to cost you anything. Go to lesmedinc.com.
Click the petition links.
But even without doing that, okay, yeah, that'd be great. But just look at the website. Read what he says. Look at the pictures. They are undeniable.
Dr. Carpenter, your website, the Les Medinc website, gives people the opportunity to do their own research. In fact, the research has already been done. All they have to do is go and look at what you have.
Go and look at it. Yes, you have people that give you testimonial. You have different videos. There are videos that tell you are ridiculous, all the charges, and all people saying that have been hurt by me. I have hard evidence that people that have attacked me are liars. And that's when they did the grand jury, because I was showing that they were liars. But
well, you've got links to other scientific articles, too, that confirm what you say.
Right.
And they probably don't appreciate that either. So.
I think so. It's all there. The evidence is all there. You just go there. It doesn't cost anything. Just go there and look at it. And think. Start thinking. Wait a minute. What is going on here? And why wouldn't they want it? Because of the money to the drug company, the money to hospitals, the money to oncologists, the money. And people that have side effects from the treatments are sickly people. They bring money to the medical. So if you're healthy, you don't.
That's right, Dr. Carpenter. And, I was devastated to learn just recently, just before I left, okay, that another good friend of mine, I'm not going to say who it is, but another good friend of mine, his daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer and was on the treatments, okay, was on the stupid standard treatments. And I saw the pain in his eyes as he was talking to me. And the worst part of it was that I couldn't even say to him, because you've been shut down. I would normally have said to him, I have something for you. I have something that will solve your daughter's problem. Okay? I couldn't even say that because the bastards shut you down. This woman is probably, I hate to say it, I probably going to die. Like so many
More
other
than likely, yes.
because she's on the chemo and the radiation. And, I'm hearing the stories. And I was just sitting there, Dr. Carpenter, with tears streaming down my face because there was nothing I could do. I mean, if you were still in business, there would have been something that I could do or that you could do. And I could have offered that to the person and said, look, try this, and they would have listened to me because they know me. That's the whole point, though, isn't it? Is that you have an alternative, you have a solution, and by the testimony and the facts and what actually happened to these people, that they were helped and without any harm being done, that the cancer was gone, and this would have caught on eventually in a much larger market, and we know it. Okay, we know it.
I guess that's the fear.
That is the fear. You had a small business, that's true, but nobody else had what you had. And let's face it, it would have caught on. It was catching on. People were asking from word of mouth, just like I would have been somebody that would have told friends.
Well, we were packed schedule for 2 months. If anybody that called in to come in, they had to wait 2 months for the treatment.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, and they put an end to that one. And, there are people that are saying, I'm alive because I had this treatment. My doctors are wondering how come I'm still alive. And all of that nonsense. And people are ignoring it. And I don't understand how they can. Because the part of the people is this. Okay, FDA came in, stole everything from me, so I wouldn't be able to do and treat anybody. Two very expensive, unique pieces of equipment. They stole everything, but you can't steal the mind of people. Okay, so if people went to our website and read, understood, and stop being afraid, stop believing liars, and just think for themselves, read what I say on the website, look at the evidence, then they should start screaming why this is not used. So what should?
Dr. Carpenter, also let's remind the listeners, the people who may not be, listeners for a long time, but we used to say on almost every show that during the time that you had the practice in the 2 locations, one which was in Oklahoma, the last one, and the other one was in Arkansas, right?
Right.
You were abiding. Okay, let's just take Oklahoma. You were abiding by the laws of the state of Oklahoma under the Healthcare Freedom Act. You committed no illegal acts. You were complete compliance. The people who came up against you, which is the FDA, and
did something illegal, and they violated the laws of the state of Oklahoma.
They were the unlawful people. They were the wrongdoers. They were the people violating the law, not you.
And that's why they couldn't say, oh, what she's doing is not allowed, the alternative. They couldn't say that. So what did they go back to say?
They fabricated some story.
They said it was a fraud.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
How can it be? Well, the adulterated drugs, it's easy to find that there are no drugs that I was using. And then, of course, there was the war of word of mouth between FDA about does saline and food coloring constitute a drug. But anyway.
That was one idiocy, one form of idiocy. But you see, when they realized that was not going to work, what did they go to then? A completely different alternative idiocy theory. Oh, is mail and wire fraud. What does that have to do with saline solution and food coloring? They're two totally disparate, different things.
Okay, but they were saying it's a fraud because I claim I can cure cancer. I never say cure, I say kill cancer in place. And it's not true. Well, obviously, all the people that are hollering and screaming by saying, what are you doing? My mother was saved. My daughter was saved, my aunt was saved, I'm alive, and the doctors don't understand why, then when that happens, it can no longer be a fraud. A fraud is if it never works.
It never was a fraud. But you see, they decide. This is what I know, Dr. Carpenter.
No, but you practice spiritual bondage on the people that come to you, though. So they only think that they're cured, you see.
That was according to the idiot,
right?
The scumbag Michelle Walden, right?
Yeah, spiritual bondage.
Well, if spiritual bondage, but it works for 7-8 years, then
Yeah. Well,
what's wrong with that?
All liars, and they all have an agenda. And Michelle Walden was just a paid stalker, is all she was. A paid liar, a liar for hire.
And even Pinocchio and all of the others, they all were paid to lie.
That's right.
And stalk me. So, but what I am...
They get, let's face it, who else? They can't get an honorable person to attack someone who's doing no harm to anybody. Okay, so they have to get people that are as criminal-minded as themselves, who are in it for the money and an agenda, and that is all. There is no integrity, there is no honor, and it's all a huge web of lies, and it sickens me, because people are dying. That's why it sickens me. Not because just on principle, because I know a number of people. I could count people on 2 hands in the past 3 years maybe, who I know had cancer, had the horrific treatments of the standard medical treatments of radiation and chemotherapy, and they died. We're talking about 6 or 7 people, Dr. Carpenter. They would be alive today. Had I had the opportunity to get close to them and say, here's an alternative, look at it. And they would have, I know it. That's what makes me sick. They're dead.
I know, they're dead for nothing. No reason they should not be dead. No reason at all. Plus, their family are financially ruined.
Financially ruined and emotionally devastated. How many lives are devastated because of these bastards thinking they have the right to tell people that you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice to choose your own health care, and you don't have a choice to decide that I want a treatment that I've looked into, I've researched, and other people have testified that this treatment is worthy and it's effective. You have that right. That is your right to make a choice for your own health care. And they're stopping people from doing that.
And that is really revolting.
Yes, it is.
Revolting that something like this is happening. And let me tell you, one other thing that people are not even paying any attention to it, because they think, well, this person went to the standard horrible treatment, the horror, the torture, but they're alive today. Okay, they're alive, so see, it saved their lives. No, it didn't. And do you know what condition they're in? Do you know what kind of existence they have? Let me give you an example, which is not a very nice one, but is a fact of life that happens all the time. Okay, people with colon cancer, okay, or rectal cancer. If they go standard treatment, what happened to them? Of course, they had the usual poisoning, chemo, radiation. They have surgery. You know what happens? They give them a bag. They make a hole in their intestine, and the waste doesn't go through normal channel that a human body is built for. No, it goes through a bag, a plastic bag that a person is carrying on the side of their tummy. Okay? And it's the most revolting thing. Not only that, it's embarrassing because you don't know, okay? When
you don't have any control, right?
You don't have any control, and you don't know when it's happening, when this smelly waste material is being extruded. You can be in public, and all of a sudden this horrible smell. It's very embarrassing. And that's the end of the first hour. And I want something else to say during the second hour. I want to go over this one. It's important for you to know.